BiggerPockets community, this is Sterling White, your favorite investor here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my laptop so I can see all of the comments and everything that come in and the questions. Please comment below and let me know that you can hear me. Give me a second while I grab it. It's been quite a bit of moving parts. Decided to switch things up and go to the library today. Love it. There's some peace and quiet. Hopefully there's not too much of an echo in the background. So again, just a little bit about myself. I am a contributor. You may have read my blogs on the BiggerPockets platform. In addition to that, I also have just a little under 400 units, and that's comprised of single family and also multifamily. And it is my partner and I, and we do have a team underneath us that's property management and us as operators. So let me go ahead and log into BiggerPockets and the YouTube. Live. Awesome. So thanks again everyone for joining. Today we're going to be going over the #1 skill that helps newbies and also I would say more experience as well. And this is something that I have learned in hopes that I will bring that value to you because it has helped me tremendously as soon as I wrapped my head around this specific skill. Said, let's go. Thanks for joining, Eric. He's there on the YouTube. We've got Stephanie Daly. Thanks for joining on the YouTube too. And so go ahead and get this set up on Facebook so I can see these questions that are coming in. And then also I'll be giving away for those of you who share and also comment on specifically Facebook. On YouTube, you may not be able to share this stream, but those of you who are on Facebook that share and comment in the comment section that you have shared, I will be giving away a credibility book, which I'll later discuss what a credibility book is, but just on a high level, it's something that you can provide to property owners, specifically sellers, that showcase your track record, which gives you more credibility once they are, when you are presenting yourself to them, so you come across a little bit more professional. Well, you come across quite professional. So please go ahead and like and also give those ha-has and those wows for those of you who are over on the Facebook. And also I'll be providing some stories, and then at the end you can go ahead and ask your questions throughout. So I'll be answering those too as they come in and towards the end of the stream. So let me go ahead and pull this up so I can see all of everything that comes in. Come on. Gosh, okay, that is not working. Live stream. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm getting this going so I can see your questions. Gosh, today is, bear with me everyone. Come on. Okay, there we go. Got it up and running so I can see your questions that come in. So I'll just go ahead and just jump right into the skill itself. It is sales. I know I probably could have left that towards the end so I can have everyone, oh, okay, what is that #1 thing? But specifically, thanks for joining J-Rock over on the Facebook. Thanks for joining Angel there, and also Eva, thank you for joining in. And what I mean by the sales side is when you're on the property acquisitions per se is even though you are acquiring and essentially buying, that you still have to sell yourself to the seller that you're the right person to be buying the asset. So what I have experienced in this specific market is it's tons of buyers that are out there in the marketplace that are willing to pay even top dollar, and ultimately you have to sell yourself to the seller that throughout all these buyers that are, let's say, willing to pay more than you're willing to pay, that they will still end up going with you. Because there's been some, just a prime example, 80 unit apartment complex that we acquired in February, is we were not the highest bidder on that specific asset, but since we really sold ourselves in terms of why we are the right buyers, that the seller ended up going with us over a higher offer. So I'm gonna go over some things that we currently implement that allow us to provide that specific not track record, but that credibility to the seller when we are speaking with them. So specifically, all right, let's get to work. Okay, give a few shout outs. Thanks for joining in, Kevin Oskell. We've got Ray Chapman, thanks for joining. I am here in Indianapolis, Indiana, so please comment below where you are from as well. So the two things that we really excel in, my partner and I, in terms of on the acquisition side and selling ourselves, is we will showcase our track record to the specific seller, and that is through a credibility book that we have put together. And those of you who, again, share the stream and also comment, I will share that with you. And within that credibility book, it goes over just our whole track record, the acquisitions that we've acquired, and what really helps is when we're speaking with a seller that, let's say it's an apartment complex, in that credibility book, it'll be another apartment complex that we acquired nearby. And also included in that, it'll be our total transactions that we've had, and also some publications that we've been in as well. So that really provides that professionalism, and that you are a reputable individual, because there's tons of scams out there and people that are saying they're not who they are, saying who they are, who they're not really that person. And then another thing is providing that seller with the proof of funds. We've got someone from South Bend, Indiana that's in the house. We've got Will Vargas from Washington, D.C. So those are the two things that we really excel in terms of showing the track record to the seller, which is very beneficial. And then two, providing the proof of funds, or you can provide a pre-approval letter from your lender that says, hey, this is the type of terms that we're going to give to the buyer on this, and then provide that to the seller that, hey, we're good to go, our financing is lined up. If you plan to go the financing route, if you got cash, then showing the proof of funds will work. So, and also what's included in that too is it's very optimal, if from what I've learned, is to get a face-to-face as much as possible. And that just, you get that human interaction, and it goes a long way versus doing all of the negotiations and all of the discussions via phone. So face-to-face is very optimal, and that allows you to build that rapport. So now I'm going to go into a couple stories. So the 46 units that was acquired a year and a half ago, so I'll kind of go over the detail from initial contact on basically the sales process, because again, it's all sales. And someone asked, Gary Martinez said, what if this is your first property? And in that, you'll have to partner with someone essentially that does have that track record, or you'll just have to build it out yourself by doing some transactions. So it's all about just having to figure that out. What I did personally was I found someone to partner with who did have that track record that they brought to the table, and I leveraged that. So the 46 units, so this was a cold call to the individual. It was a distressed asset, so decided to give them a call. This was the driving for dollars method that a lot of you do hear about. And again, so it was a phone call, and then during the phone call, there was a pitch. So the pitch was, hey, specific seller, I noticed that you have this 46 unit that's here. I didn't say it was in specific distress, but we're highly interested in purchasing. We do close in less than 60 days. Would you be interested in selling? So there you go. Of course, you've got to be interesting once you pitch that person, because a lot of times these owners do get these multiple calls from quite a bit of individuals. So you really have to stand out from the crowd. And so there was that. And this person luckily was motivated. We called him at the right time on the selling side. So we were able to get that deal under contract from the get-go, but some are not as easy. The person may not be interested in there, and then you have to do a basically sales cycle in which you could call it a sales cycle, but then they have to be followed up. So that's how that's going to go. And then with that too, we had to sell them on the financing. So it was total purchase price for the 46 units was $900,000, and we had to put in about, I would say, $700,000. But if we would have went to a lender, they would not have provided the financing because the occupancy was low, and also it needed quite a bit of work. So we had to sell that specific owner on seller financing. So the $900,000, we had to put $200,000 down, and then the seller provided a loan of $700,000, and then the renovations we raised from our partners. So we had to sell them on that process, and again, he was there was some pushback on that, but ultimately they were motivated. So again, we were able to sell that and was able to get those specific terms after going back and forth. And then in addition, we were able to sell them on the replacing of roofs. So again, it's all about, and this is I would say negotiations is another discussion in itself, because there's always some back and forth. And then also, it's always good going in to have an idea of what you want. Your strike price is what people mention, and also what you're willing to give up and what you're not willing to give up. So that's how that 46 unit went. The 80 unit that was recently closed, that was more of, there was an initial phone call that went out. So we always go the direct to the owner side, and from the direct to owner, we do a cold call approach, which is call the owner again and say, this was actually in Louisville, Kentucky. So we were able to bring the track record of the apartments that we acquired prior to that point. And through that course, that specific seller was not interested in selling, or a property owner was not interested in selling. So through that, they had to be put into a follow-up. So in the follow-up, you can utilize direct mail, personal visits, which is my favorite, in building rapport. So through this there was the decision maker, and then there was the influencer, which was the son of the decision maker, which got thrown into the fire on the property management side and wanted nothing to do with the property management side. So I was in direct contact with the influencer, and they kept pushing up the issues to the decision maker. So was able to use them over the course. So initial contact was in February, and so they weren't interested, kept following up, and also took some trips out to Louisville, Kentucky to basically get some FaceTime with that influencer. And through the course of that, was able to build that long relationship. Again, there was quite a bit of back and forth. And then finally, the owner became interested in selling. So there's how that went. And again, it's always optimal to go direct to the decision maker. But if you have a influencer, especially this person had a pain point, so we were able to leverage that side of things. So I'm going to open up the Q&A. I have no clue. My phone is experiencing some difficulties, and the battery is very draining. So hopefully this does not die during the stream. That is a rookie mistake on my end. So someone asked, what is a credibility book? So a credibility book is just simple. I'll provide that to those of you who are on the Facebook and also YouTube who share this, and also comment that you shared it. But it's a PowerPoint presentation that we broke down and converted it to a PDF, and it showcases your track record, such as your years of experience in the industry, the operators of the specific company, in addition to the assets that you have under management. And what really helps is, in your credibility book, let's say you're acquiring deals in Indianapolis, Indiana, and you have all these apartments, and you're reaching out to an owner who has apartments in Indianapolis, Indiana, and they see that, they say, okay, these guys are trustworthy, reputable, because on their end, they want people who can close. If they go through the whole entire process and then the person doesn't close, that's something a owner is just detrimental, because it's very time consuming, and then also during the due diligence you're walking through all the units, disturbing the tenants. So if you have the ability to close and you can sell that to the person through your previous transactions, that goes a long way. So there's that. And again, I do truly appreciate everyone for being on this stream. So we've got a couple folks there. We got some people from Canada. Thanks, Denny Matthews, for joining. We got Jessica Corona. And so, yeah, I truly appreciate everyone being on this stream. I'll wait until a few more questions come in. Thanks for sharing. We've got Eric there. And then if anyone has any questions, I do have a profile on BiggerPockets.com. But again, just on a high level, the number one skill that has really, truly helped me in this business is, even though that you're buying assets, that you're still a seller ultimately, because you're selling yourself to the seller. I know it's back and forth on the selling and the seller, that you are the person that they should transact with. The two ways that we utilize is, one is showing a track record, and that is provided by a credibility book that we put together, and I'll share it with everyone who shares this stream and also comments that they've shared it. And in that credibility book, it'll show all of your closed transactions, any type of media that you've been involved with, your assets under management, and also your team as well. And one thing that we put in our the asset side is the type of financing we use, the unit count, and also our strategy that we plan to utilize on that asset, such as the reposition. We plan on putting, $900,000 or $1 million into it and push up the rent. So those are the various things that we do on that. And then two is providing a proof of funds to the seller, showcasing that, hey, we have money in the bank to close on this deal. And then the next one associated with that is you can get a pre-approval as well, a letter from your lender that shows, okay, we are willing to, at these terms, provide a loan on this specific asset, whether it's 75% LTV or LTC. Provide that to the seller and give them some more reassurance that you're the person that to transact with. So how do you find out the influencer's contact information? So through this, it's all, we love utilizing Google search. So in this specific scenario, we call the property itself, and I'm relating to the 80-unit apartment complex. So we called the apartment complex, the son picked up the phone, and again, this was having some dialogue and determined that the decision maker, which was the father, put the son in there to run the property management side. And through that, we had our conversations, and he was the direct chain up to the decision maker. So that's how it was determined that he was the influencer. And through that dialogue, was able to hit on the pain points, because the son wanted nothing to do with the property. And then also the father was looking to retire. So kept going through the influencer, sold them on it, which pushed it up to the decision maker ultimately. And then about 6 months after initial contact, that's when they said, okay, well, we'll sell. And then, so that was, again, back in, October of last year was the initial contact, and closed on that, I would say, just a couple weeks ago. So again, these are longer cycles. And if you reach out to them initially, they're not interested in selling, you just gotta follow up. Direct mail, cold calls, personal visits, etc. You just gotta get really creative, because if you keep pounding the phones and saying, hey, are you interested in selling? Hey, are you interested in selling? They'll get pretty angry, pissed off, I would say. So you have to be of value. So one thing that I've really started to implement is not, let's say, showing up in person and also just grabbing them a cup of coffee. Or some of these sellers are not as sophisticated. You could say, hey, have you considered a 1031 exchange, a way to defer taxes or save taxes ultimately. So being of value and just a way to follow up with them and say, hey, just thought about you. Have you heard about 1031 exchanges? So all this is just sales, which I've really learned from. Give tribute to Mr. Grant Cardone himself. Woo! So it's been great. How do you sell yourself to the lender? Again, it's all sales. So you have to, on that side is, again, the same process that we use on the seller side is excluding the proof of funds, I would say, in the term sheet, is we got to show our track record to that individual, and they really want to see that, let's say you're buying something that's a little more distressed, that well, I would say for one is on the lender side, you just got to build that rapport with them and again, show your track record. That's ultimately what it is, that you know what you're doing. So they want assurance that once they do provide that loan, that you can make the payment ultimately. So there's that. What's the skill? Shamrock asks. The skill is sales. So there we go. All right, looking at some more questions that come in here. And someone asked a little bit earlier, if you do not have the track record, how do you go about that? That is partnering with someone. So specifically what I did myself was I didn't have the extensive experience, especially shifting, let's say even starting with the single family houses, is I was able to leverage my mentor's experience and bring that over when I was speaking with sellers. When I made the transition from single families to the multifamily, I was able to provide all of that what do you call that? The track record of all the acquisitions on the single family side. So that's what really helped, and just was able to just build. And then in addition to that was the media side. So my partner and I were featured in local publications, Indianapolis Business Journal, what are other ones that are here? Inside Indiana Business, and provide that in our credibility book to sellers. How easy is it to refinance a commercial loan? I would say in today's climate is, if you're going agency debt, and through that is Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, is as long as the asset is stable and it's kicking off that income, you should not have a problem. And again, you have to have that track record. How do you become a better overall salesman? You just have to sharpen the tool. So for me, I read books, and I also go to conferences as well, and boot camps to really sharpen that skill, because it is ultimately a skill in itself. Even though, just goes back to the high level again, is even though you're buying, you're still selling yourself. That was the ultimate unlock for me. What's a good site source to find apartment buildings? You can leverage apartments.com. That's a really good site, or you'll just have to go you can use ListSource is another site that you can leverage as well to pull all the specific apartment complexes that are in your market. So again, I do truly appreciate everyone for joining in. If you happen to have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you so much for your precious time. Again, I'm on BiggerPockets.com. You can reach out to me there, or just comment below and ping me so I have that question. I'm here to ultimately bring you value. Thank you, and have a wonderful day and week. Happy investing.